and Judd, daily Minnesota sports entertainment. And let's dive into this. So, Karl-Anthony Towns, Dex has a clip or two here. I'll let you sort of drive this wherever you want, Declan. But this is about as open and DGAF as you will hear a professional athlete be in front of the assembled media. This is Karl-Anthony Towns talking about his career, 6 years as a Timberwolf.
I think about it in my mind. I really been through everything you could think about, from, like I said, front offices, coaches, players, COVID. That's just now. That's, I've been everything from defamed by teammates, been a scapegoat for people, just COVID, my own personal life.
Yeah, I mean, there's more. He drops a couple words that we had to chop out there because we also run this on the radio and we don't want an FCC violation. What are your thoughts? How do his comments about just his 6 years with this tumultuous franchise land with you?
I got a bunch of thoughts, but first of all, nothing he said is wrong. And we can't criticize when we criticize people for not talking. The fact that Cat does talk, we can't come back and say, well, he shouldn't be saying this because he absolutely should. And look, it's been frustrating, and I think this started in full blast last year. Cat has decided, and I'm here for it. Cat has decided that his opportunities to talk to the press are a part of Cat's therapy. And as I told Patrick and you, Phil, and Dex, it's Favre-like. But that's not a bad thing. This is who he is now. I think that Cat has probably tried to find different ways because he's an intelligent, smart dude who went through something terrible. I mean, his mom died, which is awful. And then I think beyond that, he had 5 people from his family, he said, die of COVID, right? And so it really, to me, for sure started last year on the Zooms. Whenever Cat talked, he didn't just come on and say, well, we didn't play well, blah. He would go into a Favrean, like multiple paragraph, wouldn't stop. And I think he does it for himself. And I think he talks through things for himself. People are going to say, well, I mean, come on, Karl. And yeah, but much like I love Ant because Ant's fun and I like what Ant brings. This is Karl. I mean, Karl's showing you who Karl is.
But don't you think he's doing it like if you surveyed the NBA players inside the NBA guys like Charles Barkley, what's one word to describe Karl-Anthony Towns? Mm-hmm. I'll bet you that most of them, like if there was like one of those what are those little word charts where it's like word association, like the largest words pop off the page when it's associated more. They think he's soft. But they think he's soft. So when he's up here speaking, he's essentially defending himself against the notion that he's soft. He's trying to say, y'all think I'm soft. Let's go down the list.
This is but what he did yesterday is what he's been doing for a year now. And it's fine. It's fine if they think he's soft and he's trying to defend himself. What I'm saying is that was just the latest example of who he is. And if you don't cover him a lot, then you're like, oh my God, why is he talking so much? Like he feels bad for himself. And I say, no, this is who he is. Just like Ant is a fun-loving and get-it guy, Karl's a guy who's going to go through chapter and verse what he's thinking, which I can't criticize because we constantly criticize guys that don't do this.
And also, I find
it intriguing.
If the organization in 6 years isn't going to stand up for him in terms of putting together an operable infrastructure, then he really has no other choice. He can't just sit there and be silent. Like people are calling him soft.
Well, he can be silent.
Jimmy Butler and Tom Thibodeau told the rest of the NBA behind the scenes how soft this guy was, right? And I actually think Karl-Anthony Towns is a great case study in how circumstances and surroundings and, quite frankly, luck really play into your lot in life. there's a million examples just in the United States of, every single day there's two different people or kids that have a similar level of talent. And, one is born into let's say a bad neighborhood with bad teachers and maybe bad parents, broken home, whatever it may be. And just they never get the resources to help them become whatever the fullest version of themselves is. And then there's other people that are born into a great family infrastructure and a great school system, and then they meet people that have money and they can expedite their growth professionally, all these things. It's like Karl-Anthony Towns going into his 7th year in the NBA, and I'm going to compare him to Karl-Anthony Towns, player A, and then I'll get to player B. Number 1 overall pick, wildly talented, 7 feet tall. Karl-Anthony Towns is actually the best shooting 7-footer that we've ever seen in our lives, percentage-wise. Like, the dude, he's one of the best shooters in the NBA, 7 feet tall.
Yep.
But in his 6 years, he's had 4 different coaches. He's had 6 different general managers or presidents of basketball operations, if you include, like, Milton Newton had to take over because Flip passed away for 6 months, right? Like, interims running it. He's had 2 full roster overhauls where it's like him and somebody else, the last person standing, as they turn the rest of it over. In my opinion, he has the single worst owner in the entire NBA. And yet, here he is, and everyone's like, all right, make it work, dude. You got to make it work somehow. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, go back 20 years ago, another number 1 overall pick, 7-footer, Tim Duncan, wildly talented. And for 20 years, Tim Duncan had the same coach, one of the best coaches in NBA history, Greg Popovich. Popovich also ran the front office for San Antonio for like 4 or 5 years, and then they brought in I can't remember the guy's name, but he's been there since like 2000, 2002. So he's had the same general manager also for the 20 years of his career, and then he got to play with the same nucleus of teammates. Manu Ginobili, David Robinson for a couple years, but it was like Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, same infrastructure for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And so he became the 99th percentile of what Tim Duncan was supposed to become. And Karl-Anthony Towns is probably sitting around like the 60th percentile or less of what he's supposed to become and his teams, because the rest of it's been such a train wreck around him. And so I don't blame him after 6 years for looking around the room. Quite frankly, people should be happy and feel lucky that he hasn't demanded a trade. Think about how many guys in the NBA have demanded out for far, far less than what Karl-Anthony Towns has gone through the last 6 years. And I fully support the comments he made yesterday, even if it doesn't come off as a little bit of like, I'm a victim. Yeah, but he is. Well, he's been a victim for 6 years with this franchise.
But his comments so I think what we have to do here is I think we have to separate Cat the player from Cat the person in this sense. Cat the person, he could get traded to the Lakers tomorrow, and there's a very good chance that by this point in his life, his press conferences would still be a rambling soliloquy of lots of things, because that's who he is. And again, it's why Karl-Anthony Towns, the player, is an alpha. He's an alpha player. Like, he's that good. He could be. But Karl-Anthony Towns, the person, and his personality holds him back from being that guy, because of what we're seeing here, which is not an indictment. It's just his personality, and it's just him. And the reason why he's not an alpha player is he's a thinker. He thinks through things. Everything goes through, because if you go back and listen to what he said on Monday, he's talking about, I've been through a lot here, which he has, but he also goes into, I had, Flip died. Like, and that's nobody's fault. But he wants to talk through it. And I really think the flip fully got switched when his mom died, because I really think that he is processing through and explaining, which I actually appreciate. I do. But it's why guys like, and this is how pro sports is a very, very difficult life. It's why guys like Butler look at Cat and say, oh, he's weak. He's a weak player. It's because he sees that as a weakness. I see that as an attribute that still can be used. But there are definitely, Karl, the person, is a very interesting person.
He's an outwardly emotional guy.
Yeah.
I'm now Cat now, by the way, because my camera is frozen, so I'm going to pretend to be Karl-Anthony. Towns for a second.
Oh, I didn't even realize. I thought you were just being very stoic.
No, I wish I was being stoic.
I like how you put
no,
the
my
picture
cat. Otherwise, I'd start and stop it, and then it causes a delay on our YouTube audience. So I'm gonna be the little mini cat here on the left, just as you guys
Look at you
continue to do this.
transitioning quickly. Yeah, you're just a small cat.
Little
small cat.
Kitty cat. Yeah, I think because he's outwardly emotional, and I think he probably gets in his feels more than some other NBA stars. You know, that can be looked at and perceived as being weak, right? Michael Jordan was stoic and he was fiery and stoic.
And Butler was fiery. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and Towns can be fiery, but he's also like he can be emotional and get in his feels, which that's just his personality.
Yep.
Do I ultimately think he is going to be the absolute leader of a team that wins a championship? He probably needs to be like a number 2, but I don't think it's too. And maybe Ant Edwards can be the number 1. The Wolves have multiple steps to go before that's a conversation, but I think my biggest takeaway from that press conference yesterday is that, wow, he is fully aware of how much of a train wreck this organization is, and yet is still committed to it. And you might say, well, he says he's committed. No, like this dude could have easily asked for a trade. Ben Simmons and his listen, I would love for the Wolves to acquire Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons demanded a trade because after he couldn't hit free throws, and after he couldn't hit shots, and after he refused to shoot in the fourth quarter of playoff games, his teammates and coaches understandably got mad at him and threw him under the bus. And he demanded a trade with 4 years left in his contract. Karl-Anthony Towns has 10 times the reason to demand a trade out of Minnesota than Ben Simmons does out of Philadelphia. You could argue that Ben Simmons, like, bro, work on your game. And maybe your teammates and coaches wouldn't feel this way about you. Karl-Anthony Towns continues to get better every single year. Now, does defense lack? Yes. Like, there's things he can get better at. The fact that he hasn't demanded a trade means it's shockingly not too late. You don't have to squander the Karl-Anthony Towns era because he inexplicably is still committed to the Timberwolves. And I think that's interesting. That's one of my biggest takeaways yesterday.
I think in his mind, and this is how I think much he thinks and how deep things go. I think in his mind, he really did love Flip, and Flip drafted him. And there's a loyalty there to this franchise, which is admirable and maybe misguided. But yeah, he could have easily said, and look at the guys, but before we criticize him a lot, look at the guys he could be. For as great as Durant is, we talked about this. Durant is all in his field, but he's bristly about it. Like Carl's not bristly about it. Carl just tells you what Carl thinks, which again, I appreciate. But I think that ultimately, while they certainly have not had the same success on the field and the court, I just see a lot of Favre there. I see a lot of a guy who talks through what he's thinking. And I know that there's always going to be fans who are like, oh, you just shut up and play. But that's not what we want. And I like the fact that the guy is basically an open book. Like, he's not up there lying and then privately going to Glenn and saying, trade me. So he's up there telling you how he feels. And I remember, I think it was a game I covered last year against the Rockets. He did the post-game Zoom and he didn't shut up. Like, he just kept going. He just kept going. And it was the same type of thing. Like, he basically runs through what's on his mind. I have zero problem with that. And to expect that every personality is going to be the same. Like, he should be fiery. He should lead. He doesn't have that gene in that way.
I actually think it seems like he has. I don't know if he's ever going to be like the leader and that other like Kevin Garnett was. Like, he's not, but I do think he's in a much different spot in his mind and just in his life now than he was a year ago. I mean, some of these stories that have come out about him losing 50 pounds, getting COVID.
Yeah, mom died, and
all the deaths in his family, and just basically being unable to take the court without being overwhelmed by emotions. It kind of feels like it's taken 6 years of life and basketball turmoil, but this would be the year where he would just go full cyborg. Like, whatever the best version of Towns is, let's see it this year. I think he's ready to do that more than he was in the last couple years. So
I also think part of the problem for him, and this has zero to do with him, is guilt by association of being tied to Andrew Wiggins. Because we saw them right initially as, oh, this is going to be the two guys that are going to lead this franchise. And Andrew turned out to be such a, I mean, I think Cat's a unique, really smart dude who you've got to take some time to get where he's coming from, but it's a good place and he's a great player. I will always contend that deep down in his heart, Wiggins really didn't like basketball and really doesn't care that much.
Yeah.
And I would never say that about Cat.
Agreed. No, also worth noting. So the Warriors started their dynasty before Kevin Durant joined with Steph, Draymond, Clay. So they were a championship level team and a dynasty even before they got Durant. Well, they lose Durant and then they lose Clay. They replace Clay with Andrew Wiggins, and there's peripheral pieces. And they go from being like a borderline dynasty to missing the playoffs. For anyone who's still on the Andrew Wiggins bandwagon.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friends at PXG Minneapolis. If you are into fall golf like Declan and I are, PXG's got you covered for the next couple months. They got some of the best clubs on the market. Oh,
The hat? The what? Oh, the cat.
No,
yeah.
no, I said it's Cat. He's in a fall golf. Little Cat.
yes. For the YouTube audience, we have for the podcast audience, yes, Judd is referring to a small cat icon on the screen that he's distracted by. PXG Minneapolis, it's a golfer's paradise. You can stop in Southdale Center or go to pxg.com/Minneapolis. All right, I feel like we're kind of limping down the stretch here.
No,
Declan's
we're good here.
camera, Judd's
got
camera
this.
is getting all choppy as well.
It is?
No,
Yeah.
Judd's camera wasn't too choppy. Also, the sunshine was coming in. Do you have a window open over there, Judd?
I closed the shade.
Okay, got it. No, we can.
I think we can bring this home.
On.
Let's bring this home for
we're gonna get
random
this camera
season
back
recall.
on too, and we totally are. This train is not getting derailed off the track just yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Not under my watch. Well, it probably would be under my watch. But
Okay,
random season recall. The 2014 Minnesota Vikings. We're gonna go through the recent one.
First year? Zim's first year,
Yep.
right?
Zimmer's first year.
Zim.
Zim 7-9.
Let me.
Declan? Oh, now we're limping. Now we're definitely limping.
What? I think his last words were, "Let me see."
Let me see, and then he's gone. What's it all about?
Yes. There it is.
Oh, he's back.
Bless it. We're done with this GoPro, by the way. I'm ready to throw it.
We've been threatening to get rid of that GoPro for 6 months.
Yeah. Well, then. Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry,
random
I
season
think the
recall.
ball. I think the ball's in my court. I have to get Declan a new camera, and I haven't done that yet. So,
First question on the 2014 Vikings. Yes, it was Zimmer's first year.
and Judd said 7-9.
That is correct. Yep. I'll give you that. That was not a question. But who'd they beat in week one?
Wait,
Who did they beat
the
in-
record for the season wasn't even a question?
No, it wasn't because I figured you guys would know that one pretty quickly
Okay,
off the top of
Phil,
your head.
I'm going to
It's not fair.
talk
Give
to
us
you
the
quickly.
free point.
2014 was the year that Peterson got in trouble, right? And sat out most of the year.
I think so.
I think Zimmer's first game was at
Was
St.
it?
Louis. I think Zimmer's first game was at St. Louis, and they won. Does that sound right to you?
Was that the game where Peterson ran for 75 yards and then
'Cause it
missed
was-
the rest of the season?
Because
Or
it was
that
after that he
the
got in
next
trouble.
year.
Because it was after that. Well, 2015 was, so 2015 was the playoff year where Blair Walsh missed.
Okay.
So 14 and 15 were both played at then TCF Bank Stadium.
Okay. I'll go with your gut on this one. I know that I feel like that might have been a different season, but I
Well,
think
hold on
yeah,
a second.
you're right.
Hold on. Do you have any other
No,
ideas or
let's go.
guesses?
No, when we get some wrong guesses here. So.
Okay.
The Rams, week one.
Rams. Yep.
All right, there
That's
it is.
St. Louis.
All right, now we're on track here. All right, this is good.
Big win. 34-6, the Vikings won. Fun fact, neither Adrian Peterson or Matt Asiata was the leading rusher that year. That game, excuse me. Who was the leading rusher in that game?
Jarek McKinnon?
Nope, it was not a running back.
Was this a Cordell Patterson had a funky game or something?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. By the way, this is the year that Peterson got in trouble because 2015 he came back and led the league in rushing. The year that they lost to the Seahawks at TCF Bank Stadium.
I'm pretty sure he
and then
ran
16
for.
he got hurt.
For some reason, I remember him running like 21 times for 75 yards in that
That's
game
very
against
possible.
the Rams. So,
That's dead on.
what? It was
For
exactly
18.
21 for.
21 for 75.
Wow. Awesome, dude.
Oh,
Bravo.
snap, dude! Wow.
Bravo.
Wow. So
Bella
you're
Bella.
saying a Vikings player ran for more than 75 yards in that game?
Yeah,
Do you think it was Cordero? So it wasn't a running back, Declan said.
wasn't a running back.
So it has to be a wide receiver or a quarterback. And
So
Matt Castle, I think, started that game. So it's not Matt Castle.
Did he or did Teddy? When did Teddy Bridgewater? Oh, he came in against
Against
Atlanta
the
or the
Saints.
Saints.
Against
Yeah.
the Saints, Castle got hurt.
I guess we're going Cordero.
Yeah, I like that guess. Do it.
3 carries, 102 yards. He had a 67-yard run in that game for a
Big
touchdown.
time.
But still, 100 yards for Cordero Patterson in week
Wow.
1 of his.
Phil
NFL
with
career.
back-to-back polls, man.
That was impressive.
Mhm.
Yeah, Teddy did take over in New Orleans. What was the Vikings' record under Teddy Bridgewater in games as a starter for Teddy? So when Teddy started, what was the Vikings' record in 2014?
When did Teddy take over in
What?
New Orleans? Was it week 3, week 4? Castle started a few games. So they lost. So they beat St. Louis. Peterson got suspended. They lost to I want to say their home opener was the Patriots at TCF Bank Stadium.
Didn't Teddy get hurt at one point too and missed a game or
Oh
something?
boy, I don't remember. That's very possible.
They got their butt whooped against the Patriots in their home opener.
Okay, yeah. So and then it was fairly early in the season. I don't remember the week they went to the Superdome, and Castle gets hurt. Teddy comes in.
I'll say this:
Teddy,
Teddy started 12 games that year.
okay,
Teddy started
that
12
helps.
games.
Okay, and they go 7-9, Phil.
Okay, so they were 1-1 in their first 2 games without Teddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that takes us from 16 to 14. So he came in. He did not start that game against the Saints.
Correct.
So that was probably week 4, unless he got hurt later in the year. But let's just assume he didn't.
Okay.
So that game against the Saints, I think they lost that game, but he played well, right? So were they
Yeah.
were they 2-2 or 1-3 then to start the year?
Are you pretty sure that was in week 4, or could that have been in week 3? I don't remember this part.
If it was in excuse me, if it was in week 3, it means he would have missed a game due to injury later in the year. You know, because then he would have started week 4, which would have given him 13 starts.
Okay.
This is where I'm a little bit confused. So
12 starts.
12. Okay, 12 starts.
He started 12 games. What was the record in the 12 games?
I'm gonna guess.
This is fun, though.
I think they were either 5-7 or 6-6.
Yeah, that's what I would guess.
6-6.
Do we get 2? Do we get 2 or 3, or is this
Probably just one.
all or
stab of this
nothing?
one.
One stab. Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
I think they were 500 with Teddy.
Okay, 6-6.
Oh,
Okay.
hold on.
Whoa.
We can do this. So the next year they went 11-5.
Yep.
So was his record as Viking starting quarterback? Let's say it was 6-6. Was he 17-11, or was he 16? I think he was 17-11 as Viking starting quarterback. So
you think
therefore, I'm going to say 6-6.
6-6. Okay.
6-6. Final answer.
I'll roll with that.
6-6.
Bang.
6-6 for Theodore Bridgewater in his rookie season.
We are cleaning up
Uh-huh.
between the math and actual game. We are clean. This is one of the most impressive performances I've
This is
seen.
pretty good. And Declan didn't even give us the record question. You just apparently that was just like a
and
pregame
it's
question.
almost always part of the start of the
It
segment.
is. I just
But I mean,
figured
like
that one.
now you're just going to be like, you don't care about the record.
No, that one I felt like when on 6, like they've always just gone 7-9 at least with Mike Zimmer. So I figured
Hey,
you'd know
you
it.
got to play
And
the
you knew it.
games.
And
You got to play. You got to play the
game.
games. Okay.
I didn't-
The Patriots have to play the first round of the playoffs for 20 years. You know.
That's true. This is true. Another Theodore question, just again stroking my ego here and
course,
my love
yeah,
for Teddy
let's-
Bridgewater.
Yeah.
How many fourth quarter comebacks? Excuse me, game-winning drives. How many game-winning drives for Teddy Bridgewater in 2014? How many game-winning drives?
So 6-6,
So it's 6 or less.
and he probably had. I'm trying to think of.
Actually,
They
he could
probably
have had one. Did he have one in that Saints game?
There were probably at 7-9. I'm guessing that most of their games were fairly close when they did win.
Yeah, I think it was probably 3.
3 or 4.
Yeah, 4 would be a lot.
Yeah, let's say 3. That's
3
fine.
feels right.
Okay.
Three final guess?
3.
Mhm.
Look at you guys. You guys are cleaning house right now. 3 game-winning drives for Teddy that year.
Do you have the games?
Not off the top, no, but
Oh,
they had fourth
that's
quarters and
good to
three
know that.
game-winning drives. Yeah, I know you're great on impromptu questions to put people on the spot.
Helps when your kicker was still amazing at that point. Blair Walsh, I'm pretty sure, making
funny.
field goals at the
Yeah,
end
Blair
of games.
Walsh was good.
What was Blair Walsh field goal percentage that year? And I'll give you on 4% of either side. What was the kicking field goal percentage for Blair Walsh in 2014? I'll give you 4% on either side.
So
this one's
Was that his rookie year?
No, his rookie year was with Leslie, right?
Was it with Frazier?
Yeah, it wasn't for Mike because
Because
he
his
was
rookie year, he
phenomenal
was
his
10
rookie
of
year.
10 from 50 yards in his rookie year.
His rookie year might have been 2013, right? Because they cut Longwell and Frazier was still there and he was great.
He was an all-pro his rookie season.
Oh, you know what? His rookie year was probably 2 years before. He probably was great in the year that they made the surprise playoff appearance against Green Bay. That's what I bet it was. I bet this was his third year.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but I was 12, 13, and then 14 was his third year. I bet that's it.
So was he starting to drop off a little bit in 14?
I feel like he didn't really drop off severely until
Well,
15.
I can tell you that it wasn't. I don't think he was like lights out. He was probably missing some kicks here. So let's just say for fun. All right, I'm just gonna.
All right.
Unless you have a better place to start here with the math here.
No, I don't like to start with math.
So they were grinding.
Benel's
They
fault.
kicked a lot of field goals. I feel like during that era of Vikings football. So he probably attempted like almost 2 per game. So let's call it like 28. He probably missed a handful. Let's say he was like 23 of 28. All right,
Which
just for
would
fun.
be-
He's
I need
doing math
percentage
right now.
though. I need
No,
That would be
percentage.
80, that would be about
He's doing it.
82%. I was gonna say, I think he was above 80%.
Okay.
I was gonna say 84%. The math
Kick
I
him up
just
to
did there
8.
was 82.
Kick him up to, go. So, Dex, just to be clear, we've got 2 on either side or 4 on either
I'll
side?
give you 4. Yep.
85. You want to say 84,
Yeah.
84, 85, 85%.
Yep.
Okay, 85%.
Speaking of wide left on that prediction.
All right. What was it?
74.
So he was
He was
terrible.
not good.
Oh, he
He was
was.
terrible.
He was terrible that year. Okay.
He
Oh, I
was.
didn't-
Let's
So the
see.
drop-off
He
started then?
was 5 and 9 from 50 yards out.
I didn't remember.
He
it being
was
that bad.
7 and 9 from 40 yards out. 8 of 10 from 30. 4 of 5 from. Yeah, he just missed a bunch of
So
long.
he was
field
missing
goals,
some-
Which,
And
That's
was
some
that his
shorties.
third year, Dex?
yes, that was his third season
Okay.
in the NFL.
I didn't remember him being that bad that year. Oh, well.
Interesting.
Still doing great.
Who led the team in tackles this season? And to be honest, this would be a perfect guy, in my opinion, for random Viking of the week on Purple Daily.
Oh, he's trying to.
Who
game
led the team in
system. He's trying to
tackles?
game the system now to get a win.
Well,
too. I like how-
Aaron Henderson had a ton of tackles around this era of Vikings football, Judd. I don't know if Declan is saying that because
So
we already
random
had him as a
Viking-
random Viking of the week.
So,
or?
if it's a random Viking of the week candidate, it can't be Chad Greenway, which would have come immediately to mind because he's a linebacker on that team and he played.
I would say,
lot.
well, Aaron Henderson would be an interesting one because he already was. Jasper Brinkley, I think, was on these teams.
Was Jasper still around? I'm trying to remember who transitioned, who got kept around. It has to be a linebacker, right? Like it just had.
Yeah, who played with Barr? Was this Barr's rookie year?
Yep.
Or is-
Yep, Greenway, Barr, Spurgeon, Dumba.
I'll go to Henderson.
Who was the other outside linebacker? Or no,
Greenway?
no, inside linebacker. So it's Greenway on the outside, Barr on the outside.
It was Brinkley.
Was it Jasper Brinkley? I
Is
mean
it?
that
And then
would be
when they drafted Kendricks,
yeah.
Greenway moved to the. He was off the field on nickel. So it's either Aaron Henderson, and Declan's trying to swerve us, or Jasper Brinkley, who
Okay,
is
hold on a
would also
second.
be a great random.
This is great.
Hold on a second. Jasper Brinkley, just for context, Jasper Brinkley was on the Vikings team that went to the NFC title game in 2009. Was he still around by 14?
Was he playing a lot though on that team? That was Greenway and EJ. I mean, Jasper Brinkley would have been
Right, but
very
he
new
took.
on that team.
But when no, you know what? It was Jasper. When
In 14,
when
Great
no in 09 because that's the year that EJ's leg damn near fell
Hey.
off against
Okay.
the Cardinals. And so Jasper Brinkley actually started, I believe, at middle linebacker in the 2009 NFC title game.
All right.
It feels
So-
like he wouldn't have been around it at that point.
So I feel like it's Aaron Henderson, and Declan's trying to swerve us.
Okay. Can we do we get more than one guess at this?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Aaron
But
Henderson.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Let's regroup.
You're
Yeah.
off positions.
So it's not a linebacker.
Okay, so it's a corner or a safety.
Safety. Yeah, okay. Yes.
Probably.
Okay.
Is it
Harrison
Harry the-
Smith would
Harry
not
the
be
Hitman?
an ideal
Oh.
candidate for random Viking of the week.
The construction underneath me, by the way, if you hear that insane sound. There's massive construction.
I can't get this now.
Distracting.
I'm
Captain
lost.
Munnerlin's on that team.
Oh, that's a great one. It's Captain Munnerlin.
Captain Munnerlin?
It's Captain Munnerlin.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Munnerlin?
Answer. Yeah.
Captain Munnerlin.
Oh,
No!
that was a great one. Slot guy. Okay. All right.
feel
Who
like
is
we
it?
need a third one.
Captain had 66 tackles that year. Jasper Brinkley had 74, who was fourth on the team in tackles.
So he was still there. Okay.
Robert Blanton. Robert
Oh, never
Blanton
mind.
led the
Oh,
team. I
you know
told
what?
you it'd be
Bleep
a
you.
perfect random Viking of
No,
the week.
bleep you.
He played 3
No, you know
seasons
what?
with the
Get
Vikings,
that
led
stuff
the
outta
team in
here.
tackles.
Phil,
If you would have said this guy
Fire him.
led the team, that's a
I can't fire
perfect
him, you
random
fire him.
Viking of the week.
that's
Just saying.
bull. That
Ridiculous.
question was bull.
I feel like we should have stopped while we were ahead there. We were like at the blackjack table.
Robert
Yeah,
Blanton.
you were.
Robert
You were
Blanton.
doubling down on
Set us
11.
up
You
with
were hitting
Robert
everything.
Blanton,
Yeah.
who I believe was a Golden Domer, right, Phil?
Yes, he was. He was a Golden Domer. Vikings had a Blanton, Harry, Rudy. They had a.
You know
it was,
what?
It was Golden Domers all
That's
over
such
the
a
place.
bunch of crap. That is
Also,
such a bunch of crap.
Led the team in tackles. Only started 13 games that year. I mean, he
Pretty
was.
good.
That's a pretty good random Viking of the week fact. I don't know what you're crapping
All
on me
right.
for.
Well, that's a wrap on Mackie and Judd today.
I'm not happy.
Unfair. All right.
Not happy.
Be sure to check out Alex Boone on Purple Daily today. Get his meat and potatoes thoughts. We'll see you guys for Write That Down tomorrow.